It's a cold January day, and today we are flying to Mexico on British Airways in business class. Now, we do travel around quite a lot, and we do sometimes go in business class, but it's always on a standby ticket. It's always on a staff ticket that does not guarantee you a seat. You don't get into the lounges, and a lot of the time you're just hoping that you get on the plane at all, so there's a lot of anxiety. Today, for the first time, we are full paying passengers. So let's go and see what British Airways business class is really like.
After arriving at Terminal 5, we made our way over to the club check-in desk. This is the dedicated check-in area for business class, which at the time of filming was located on the far left of the check-in area. You can also use the automated machines, of course, but we wanted to speak to an actual human being to see if there were any window seats left.
We are heading straight for B Gates Lounge.
I did a bit of research leading up to this trip, and the general advice online was to use the lounge located at B Gates, as it tends to be a lot less crowded and it has recently had a refit. With this in mind, we made our way over to the transit that links the main terminal to B Gates. When we arrived at the lounge, it was obvious that we'd made the right choice. It was nice and quiet compared to the rest of the airport. One little tip here, the self-service bar only includes Prosecco, but if you ask any of the waiting staff, they will go and get you a nice glass of champagne. The food offering was a pretty decent selection of breakfast items, but they also had this little bar where you could get a few extra things. My favourite was the smoked salmon and cream cheese bagel. After that, we chilled out, had a few more drinks and watched some of the aircraft. We had a really good view of the apron. And then it was time to head over to our gate. We got a little bit unlucky with a remote bus stand, which means you have to get a bus from gate A10.
If you are using the B Gates Lounge and your flight departs from A Gates, you're going to want to walk back instead of get the transport back to A Gates. Because if you get the transport back, it chucks you off at the arrival side, so you'd have to go back out and then through security again to get to A Gates. So that could be a significant delay.
It took us exactly 12 minutes to walk from B Gates Lounge to gate A10. This is the gate that you will use if you have a remote stand at Terminal 5. We were Group 2 for boarding, which meant we were able to get on the very first bus that was heading to the aircraft. Crammed in this bus, we rode around the airport for what seemed like quite a while, but after a few minutes, there she was, a Boeing 787-9. This one is about 7 years old, taking us to Mexico City today. We were actually one of the first people to get off the bus and therefore get on the aircraft, so we got to enjoy a nice empty cabin as we boarded. I was here in 10 Echo and Rach was just next to me in 10 Foxtrot. We didn't get those window seats, but we were happy to be sitting together at least. After takeoff, we were handed a hot towel and a welcome drink. I had more champagne. And we started to have a look at the menu to see what we wanted to have for our lunch. I had a look at the amenity kit, which we are quite familiar with, and then before we knew it, lunch was here. I had the trout to start with, and then for the main course I went for the British beef fillet with chimichurri. Rach had recommended it from a previous flight. This one was a little bit dry, but still a really enjoyable meal. Dessert came and I went for the cheese board with chutney and a glass of port. At this point I realised I hadn't reclined my seat at all, so I did that, knocked out a little bit of work just to try and get ahead before the holiday, and it wasn't long before the wine got the better of me. It was time to enjoy that lie flat bed and have a little nap. after 3 or 4 hours, I woke up and raided the club kitchen, which is this snack bar that you can help yourself to in the front galley of the business class section. And this is available on any flight, day or night, that is over 10 hours. And a little tip as well, you can go down to economy where they do serve ice cream and they often have spares. I'm really not quite sure how I ate this much, but this was the beef starter of the second service, and then I had the gnocchi for main. It was Rachel's birthday on this flight, and the crew very kindly signed a card and gave us a bottle of wine, which was a very nice touch. And with a beautiful sunset, we made our descent into Mexico City.
Thank you, bye.
I'll round up the video by saying that although we were full fare passengers, we did not pay full fare cash for this flight. We bought this as a return fare in business class for 2 people using a British Airways American Express companion voucher, 180,000 Avios and £900 in taxes. If you want to find out more about how we do this, leave me a comment below and I can do a separate video explaining how we book these flights and how we earned the points to book these flights.